Hi Max, how's it going?
Great, Megan. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited you made time to come on today. We're really excited to hear about your
Of
run for
course.
Congress. And, you're just getting a lot of press and it's very exciting. So we wanted to learn a little bit more about you. And I
Thank you.
guess I'm kind of going to go through a couple questions and just so we can tell the audience, what's been happening, what's going on, and where you're going from here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what motivated you to run for office?
Yeah, I am very motivated right now. I'm mostly just ticked off at the way the direction of our country is going. I'm unhappy with the current leadership across the board. I think our generation is being really left and saddled with a whole lot of debt and a whole lot of mess, and it's all coming from Washington. And I'm a business guy and have been running businesses for most of my career, and Washington is on fire and I want to put the fire out. All of our problems are very fixable, but the problem is the people we elect on from both sides of the aisle don't have a sense of urgency on fixing these things. And so I'm really sick and tired of just kind of watching these people continue to pass the buck that ultimately we have to pay for. So that was my big motivation, is that I didn't see, from my perspective, for Congress in our district winning. And then if we did win, we can't really be sure about how they'll perfectly represent us back in Washington.
Absolutely. We're definitely having a problem right now with getting people to actually run for office. It's really hard to get qualified candidates, people of a certain caliber. So I think it's wonderful that you're making this commitment. If you do win in November, what is one accomplishment that you would like to what is one accomplishment while you're in office that you'd be focused on?
Yeah, I'm not running to just be a member of Congress. We have a lot of those, and most of them don't do anything. So I'm looking forward to actually getting things done. One of them, we're in $34 trillion in debt, and we're going to continue to add to that credit card unless we make some massive cuts. So I look forward to going through our budget, not with a scalpel, but with an axe, and actually make big slashes. I think we no longer have the time to make slices anymore. And so I look forward to bringing some real budgetary, not restraint, but just cut everything back. I talk about big departments within the federal bureaucracy that need to go, not just be reformed, but being gutted completely. And then also we have an open border right now. Again, this is a very fixable issue that Congress can handle. Our border laws, our immigration laws are broken, and Congress can step in and rewrite those laws to ones that actually work for the American people. And I look forward to doing all of that very quickly, and not waiting to the very end, which too often Congress seems to do, if at all.
Absolutely. The border crisis is definitely scary. I don't understand why there's not
Uh,
bipartisan support on trying to solve that issue. Uh,
yeah, I went down to the border in December, just last month, and I met with Border Patrol, and we watched. I mean, this is in the San Diego sector, which is just a few hours from here, and the border wall just straight up ends, and there's a 50-yard gap. And I stood there with Border Patrol and watched as people just walked right in, and they weren't running away from Border Patrol, which you'd think they would do in the past, but now they're walking towards us because they want their asylum laws. Now they get a free pass for about 7 years by some counts. And so, again, these things are fixable, right? These
right.
say we need to enforce the law. Well, our law is being enforced by Border Patrol and DHS, and right now it's broken. So we have
Yep.
to fix it.
Extremely fixable. So let's switch to kind of like how you made this decision to run for office. What was maybe your conversation with your family like when you decided you were going to do this, and your wife? What did that kind of sound like when you guys were talking, and what was their reaction?
Yeah. So talking with my wife about this, we talk about politics around the dinner table, and we are both fed up with the direction of the country. And I've been in business. I worked in Congress 10 years ago, so I know how it works really well. But we prayed a long time about it if this was the right thing to do, because I'm a person of action and I want to get things done. And we didn't see another path for us for this district to be won. And so we kept praying and we got no spiritual pushback, only push forward. And we kind of been leading on that ever since. And everything's been working out so far. And the support we've been getting, whether it be from the family or from the community, is amazing. But we also knew going forward that this is not a very, I would say, a wise decision for someone who's my age, starting a family. It's really hard. I mean, running for Congress is really hard. Also, being a congressman from Orange County, having to go back to DC every week to go represent is not an easy job in terms of just time. And so I'm in my high earning years right now. Instead, I'm going to be locked into a job that is mostly thankless, and that's okay, right? I don't want the notoriety or anything like that. I really see this as something that needs to be done. I hope I'm not there very long. We need action and we need a sense of urgency, and that's really what guided my decision is, I don't want to be a politician. If I wanted to, I would have started at a lower role, but I think this is the time for our generation to step in and step in quickly because we don't really have a choice otherwise.
I agree. So let's tell some of the people listening a little bit about your district. If they might not know, some obviously are politically savvy and do know, but can you just give it a little bit of a background on the district you're running in, so they kind of understand the historical significance of why, it's a contentious race and why it's going to be hard to win, or maybe not hard to win, but why it will be
Yeah.
publicized heavily.
Totally. So both the NRCC and the ACCC, so that's who run congressional campaigns for the Republicans and Democrats, have said that this district, over my shoulder, it's the 47th district. So that's most of coastal Orange County from Seal Beach, Huntington, Newport, Laguna, Costa Mesa, and Irvine, is the top seat. It is the top seat because it's what they call purple, but also it's one of the wealthiest districts in the country. So both parties and every politician you can name comes through our district to, collect their campaign funds from. So it's a highly visible district. And historically, when you and I were young, this was a very, very red area, always held by Republicans. And then in the past decade or less, it's flipped over to Democrats. The registration on the district is about a third, Republican, Democrat, Independent. And so on its surface, it's very, and it's been held by Democrats for a very long, by Katie Porter, and then Harley Rudder for a little bit, for quite a while. But the reality is this is very winnable. You talk about that breakdown of, Democrat, Republican, Independent. A lot of people may not classify themselves as Republicans, but they live in this area because it's the best place in the world. You and I know this.
I agree.
Beautiful. It's very expensive, but for the most part, it has great schools. It's extremely safe. It's a great place to have a job, start a business, despite being inside California. Orange County is wonderful. And so historically and recently, it continues to be won by Republicans, except in our congressional races. And that's the realities that we need to make sure we put our best foot forward and have candidates that can win every single time by margin. Democrats have the playbook, but we have to change it up. And, we, as Republicans, as a Republican, I can't, talk about how I'm just some low tax, small government conservative, but I have to actually talk to these people in Irvine or Huntington or Laguna and say, hey, why is everything getting more expensive? Why is your gas going up and your groceries going up? We know why rent is high because where we live, but the other costs are a direct result of what's happening in Washington. And that's something I can actually affect. As your federal representative, I can make sure that, California style politics that we try and protect ourselves from in this district don't get shoved back in your faces from some leftist representative that would love to represent you in Washington, but should not.
Well said, Max. Well said. So some of our audience is curious about you, whether you're married, have kids. I know I mentioned you do have a wife, and they would like to know how you're balancing that situation with your family life and running for office.
Great question. So I am married and I have a lovely wife from Cleveland, Ohio. And so I imported. And so that's one Republican voter we did not have to worry about going into this election. And she's an attorney, one attorney per family, as you know, Megan. And but when we made this decision on if I was going to run or not, it was a corporate family decision. So with this job, it's all consuming, and with her, she was going to be as involved, right? It was going to eat into our family time. So now we made the agreement together that we're going to run this race together. So we're doing things together. She has a full-time job as an amazing attorney, but the stresses of the family are very true, especially in a high visibility race like this. But she's been an amazing partner in all of this, and I could not do it without her. And on top of that, you talk about family. She is 20 weeks pregnant right now.
Oh my gosh!
So
Congratulations.
thank you. We're very blessed. So we're just trying to keep it low stress for the campaign, but that is something we're very happy about. And you can do it all, and that's what I'm very proud of. Right, is that I have the energy and
Yes.
to do it all, and I think you can do it well while balancing these things, but also have the perspective of being a young person in Orange County, trying to scrape by. I mean, everyone
Right.
is just scraping by no matter how much you make, and we feel the brunt of it, and so we not only empathize, we are there,
That's
and so it makes it all the more interesting.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And congratulations. So exciting.
Thank you.
This year is going to be a big year. So,
Big.
my next question has to do with leadership. So how do you think you got on this leadership journey? Like what brought, well, we kind of talked about that, but I think more importantly, like what kind of instilled in you, from like maybe high school or college, these leadership skills. So we know kind of like why you decided to run for Congress, but like where you can't just run for Congress. No one can just run. You have to have a certain level of leadership. So where did you develop these skills?
I was that nerd at Corona Del Mar High School with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in his backpack. I still carry it around in my backpack. I'm still that nerd. I really love this country and I love where we live. And I've been involved in my community in a non-political level my entire life. And I think that's really what it comes down to is that, I've always made sure I've served in my community in whatever, whether it be a church, local community projects, or, at school and high school or whatever it is. It's really important for me to give back. But I also realize that most people, like you said, most people aren't running for Congress. Everyone isn't and will never be and probably shouldn't be a public servant, right? I think I'm running for government because I want it to be less part of our lives. I want government influence to be minimized so we can do more of the things that matter. Hang out with our family, friends, work, go to church, all these things that are times better spent than having to deal with the government. And I would rather be that person dealing with the government so people in Orange County hopefully don't have to. That's the real reason why I'm running is the government is taking over our lives. It's making our lives worse. So if I have to go and deal with it so you don't have to, I'm happy to do it. I think that's really what it comes down to is this, you talk about leadership or whatnot, but I'm running to represent people in our area so they don't have to do it themselves.
Right. And serve, which is very
Serve.
amazing. I agree with you. There's definitely a lack of, civic engagement in our communities. And all the recent articles are showing that we have a loneliness problem in this country. So, not to get off
It's
topic,
awful.
but yeah, but I think that we need more young people to step up because it's definitely something that we're going to have to deal with. And we need people with energy and a vision and willing to solve problems. So I'm very excited for you, Max. I'm
Thanks,
going to
Megan.
switch over to California Women's Leadership Association. Over here, we are working on building a network of support for women leaders. Did any women help you on your journey?
Yes, absolutely. I come from a family of badass women. Both my mom and my sister are kick-ass entrepreneurs in their own right, extremely successful, and they have been not only great mentors to me, but great friends, and they are my two biggest supporters. And so I'm grateful to have them in my life so they could hone me and not only make me the man I am today, but make me realize that everyone is capable of fulfilling what is their dream, no matter who they are. But I'd like to also shout out to we have different groups within the campaign, and our biggest group by far is our Women for Max. So our Women for Max, I think we've got probably well over 100 Women for Max now
Wow.
that are door knockers and phone callers. We had just on one day on Saturday last week, we had 50 in our office, and the campaign. Uh, no, I mean, surprise to me, or whatever you want to call it. This is powered by women, which is encouraging to know that a 36-year-old guy is actually powered by women in the back
It's
and in the
amazing.
front. It is totally amazing because they realize just as well that we need some change happening in this country, and we've got to get it done today, and we don't have time for tomorrow. So I not only empowered by my wife, who's amazing, but my mother, my sister, my sisters-in-law, and an entire campaign of Women for Max, which I am extremely grateful for.
Thank you. I think that was, I'd be very happy if I was your mom or sister. So it was very kind of you to say those nice words about them and your wife. And I can attest they're all amazing and leaders in their own right. So kind of like sticking on the women topic, I'm wondering, what specific challenges do you think exist for women today who in this environment who maybe are center right and can't figure out which candidate to vote for? They're torn between someone on the Democrat side or someone on the Republican side. Do you have anything to say to the specific group is going to basically trying to decide between two conflicting ideologies, that's potentially on who
Yeah,
we.
I think when you look at the left these days, the left tries to divide us, and they try to make it us versus them, left versus right, male versus female, black versus white, whatever it is. And it's all BS. And I think what I've learned so far in the campaign and just in life is that, the ideals that I believe in and I know you believe in and most Americans believe in don't matter if you're a woman or a man. And
Good answer.
I'm not running just for one sole group. That would be ridiculous.
Yep, good answer.
And yeah, so you know what I want out of Washington is a government that gets out of the way and is less costly and is more responsive to what our needs are. And right now, it's not. And I think it's all of us are equal owners in this government, no matter what you look like, or if you're male or female. So I think it's really important that we don't make the distinction about what government looks like, and it should treat us all the same as we can should too. And so that would be my message is that I know people on the left want to divide it and say certain candidates are for these people or the other people. I just think that's frankly wrong. And under the law, we're the same.
I agree. Okay. So right now on the campaign trail, I know we talked about the open border. Would you say that you're hearing a lot from people out there that they're concerned about crime in America? Or what are you hearing? Like, or the prices of everything are going up? Are those the most common, and how are you kind of
There's
responding
a
to
lot
that?
of things wrong, Megan, but yes, I think what's at the top of people's minds right now is our very open border, um, and that's on both sides of the aisle. And for people I talk to every single day, that's at the top of their mind because it's affecting everything. It's affecting crime horribly here in California. It's affecting homelessness. It's affecting our own rent here in Orange County.
Yep.
Uh, and so, yes, I would say the border is the top issue. And it brings it all back to the fact that it is fixable. Joe Biden can fix it tomorrow, or sorry, this afternoon, if he actually got around to it. And so that's the clear one. The next is economy, especially for young people our age who are just starting out. They can't afford things. Things
Right.
are expensive, and the number one reason why things are continuing to grow is because inflation is killing us. And the number one reason for inflation killing us is because the government continues to spend money that's our money that they don't have anymore, right? Right. We continue to borrow. We're $34 trillion in debt. Um, and it's affecting us constantly. And so that's really hurting people, especially people our age, who again are scraping by no matter what income they're in. Their costs have increased. I think the over the last year, the average American family has to make another 11 grand just to keep up their costs from the year prior. And this year it'll be even more, which is really sad because that inflation is a tax you never really get to see, and the working families are the ones that have to pay for it.
Yep. So basically, we're like, in order to kind of like, let's explain to everybody what has to happen in order for you to get to Washington. So we have a primary coming up in March.
Yeah.
Um,
So yes, we have a primary on March 5th. So it's what's called a open primary, lovingly called a jungle primary. So myself, the other Republicans, the other Democrats, independents, we all jump in. There's 10 people in this race, and the top two vote getters move on to the general, and then they move on. So this is the primaries during the presidential primary, and then the general is going to be in November. Uh, what makes it even more interesting is that while the primary is on March 5th, the ballots are dropping about a month ahead of time. So everyone, if they're registered to vote, will be getting a paper ballot in the mail in early February. So it's crunch time, right? People are going to start voting early February, and most of
wow,
the voters will be done by the time the actual election day hits.
amazing. Okay, and then
Yeah.
then whoever wins the primary, those top two go on to the general. It could be two Republicans that could go on to the general.
It's mathematically possible with a
Yeah.
race with this many people. There's three Republicans, four Democrats, and three independents. Uh, yeah, it's you don't have to get majority or anything. It's just the top two vote getters. So it's mathematically possible. That would be great if there
So
was two
interesting.
Republicans that moved. Yeah, it'd be great if two Republicans moved on. That would be a clear choice. But we shall see. But the one thing I can say is vote for Max.
Yes, of
I'll be
course.
at the top of the ticket. Top of the ticket at top of your heart.
You're doing great out here in Orange County. So as like before, I think we've got, a few more minutes before we kind of wrap it up. Is there any special causes that you are, on your leadership journey that you're going to be focusing on? I know you said the economy and the debt issue, uh, and the border. Is there anything else that you're passionate about, on this leadership journey as you go throughout the rest of 2024 here?
Yeah, one thing that has become a really hot button issue here locally is our schools.
Okay.
County, for as long as I've been alive, has had some of the best school districts in the country. Those are public school districts, and they've been phenomenal. But now they've gone
Yeah.
downhill.
I went to public
And
school here.
likewise,
Right.
Cornell High School, baby.
Right.
Go seeking, and our numbers continue to fall down, and parents are being severed from their children with the state and the teacher getting wedged in between. It's become a really hot button issue for me because, as someone that has a child on the way, I pray my kid will go to public school. It's hard to afford private school. Most people can't. Most people can't afford to homeschool their children, and we have to go down to the school board level and push parents' rights as hard as we can. I think the pendulum is swinging back our way to give parents the right to decision to decide where and how their child gets educated. What's important, though, for me as a federal representative is what can I do? I can't control the curriculum, here in Huntington Beach, nor should I. What I can do is remove the Department of Education from the federal level, which is a simple thing to do. There's a lot of departments that I want to get removed, but the Department of Education is a very clear one. It's not constitutional. It doesn't have a right to be there, and someone in Washington shouldn't have to decide how someone is educated in Irvine. We have our own Department of Education that we have to deal with in Sacramento that is an issue, but at least the funding will get shoved as closely to the student as possible, and therefore as closely to the parent as well. So it's very, very simple thing. So school choice, parents' rights. If you talk about what's the most important thing, and the next generation needs to be protected. They got a short end of the stick over COVID, and we need to put the focus back on our kids.
Yeah.
And they have to be priority numero uno.
Right. And they're lonely, apparently. Yeah. Apparently a lot of the older kids in school are very lonely. It's a huge issue. So
oh yeah, it is
from COVID. Yeah.
From COVID and cell phones and all these things, it is tough being a kid these days. They've got a lot of pressure. And right now we've got schools that are trying to separate them from their parents. The government thinks they're the better parent. Joe Biden says that they're our kids, not yours. It's just evil stuff. And we have to fight back at every single level so we can give them the best opportunity to be great Americans.
So, okay, to end our discussion, because it's been lovely and I know you're busy, we do have a lot of, at California Women Leadership Association, we have a lot of women listening who are trying to run for leadership positions or for office. So if you could give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
Do it. If you're interested in something, call, email, text, DM. I think if you're interested in something, this is America. Pick up the phone, call them up, say, "Hey, I want to try." Like I said, we have Women for Max here. We're powered by women, and it shouldn't matter where you come from or what parts you have. You just do the job, and so that's what I've been able to do. Is you just got to be urgent about things. So women or men, especially women, get out there, be a part of it, get involved in your community. Don't wait. Don't wait to be asked. Just do it.
Max, thank you so much. I mean, this was great. And thanks for sharing a little bit about, your family background and why you're running and, a little bit of the history behind this district that we both live in. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this year unfolds. It's very exciting. And we're lucky that we have people like you that want to step up to the plate and actually run for office. It's a very hard thing to do. I know it's not easy and we need you. So thank you. And we should do another one here in a few weeks.
I'll be happy to. Thanks a lot, Megan. This was a lot of fun.
Talk to you soon.
All right. God bless.